When you pour a glass of milk, have you ever stopped to think about the incredible journey it took to get there? It all starts on a farm, of course, but behind that everyday product is a whole world of fascinating science. So today, we're going to dive into the world of scientific cattle farming. Okay, let's get into it. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the big why, then get into the science of animal husbandry, check out how breeding and management work, cover animal health, and wrap it all up by looking at the huge impact of it all. All right, first things first. Why is there such an intense focus on improving how we raise livestock? Well, it really comes down to one of the most basic needs we have, feeding a whole lot of people. It's a really important question, right? With demand for food always on the rise, why isn't it enough to just, keep things the way they are? The answer, really, is all about scale. Think about it. When you have a population of over 1 billion people, and that number is still climbing, just maintaining the status quo is not going to cut it. We absolutely have to get smarter and more efficient at producing our food to meet that kind of demand. So, how do we actually tackle this challenge with science? Well, it all starts with a discipline called animal husbandry. And this is really the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. Put simply, animal husbandry is the science of caring for farm animals. But it's not just about keeping them fed, it's about managing them in a systematic way to boost their health and their productivity. And it all boils down to 3 main pillars: feeding, breeding, and disease control. Now, when we say cattle, most of us probably think of milk right away, but they actually serve 2 super critical roles. The first, of course, is producing milk, but the second is providing what's called draft labor. That's the muscle power for all that essential farm work, like plowing fields or pulling carts. And this brings us to a key distinction. You have milch animals, which you might also hear called dairy animals. Those are the females raised for their milk. And then you have draft animals. They're the ones used for all that heavy lifting on the farm. 2 totally different jobs that require different kinds of management. To really get how we increase milk production, you need to know this term, the lactation period. It's just the window of time after a cow gives birth when she's producing milk. And the logic here is pretty straightforward. The longer this period lasts, the more milk an animal can give. Okay, so if a longer lactation period is the goal for getting more milk, how do we make that happen? This is where selective breeding comes in, and it's an incredibly powerful scientific tool. This is where you run into a fascinating trade-off. On one hand, you've got exotic or foreign breeds like the Jersey cow, which are famous for their really long lactation periods. On the other hand, you've got local breeds like the Sahiwal, which are incredibly tough and have amazing resistance to local diseases, even if they don't produce as much milk. So you have one breed that gives a ton of milk and another that's super hardy and doesn't get sick easily. The ultimate goal, of course, is to get one animal that has both of those fantastic qualities. So how do you pull that off? The solution is crossbreeding. By breeding that high-yield exotic cow with a disease-resistant local one, you can create a new generation of animals that hopefully gets the best traits from both parents. That means high milk production and strong natural resistance to disease. But listen, great genetics are really only half the battle. To unlock an animal's full potential, you need smart management practices. And that all starts with the fundamentals: proper shelter and the right kind of food. Proper shelter isn't just about comfort. It's about health and keeping the milk clean. Animals need well-ventilated sheds that protect them from rain, heat, and cold. And simple things like regular brushing keep their skin clean. Here's a small but brilliant design feature: sloping floors. It makes sure waste drains away, which keeps the area dry and makes it way easier to clean. And that is absolutely critical for producing safe, high-quality milk. Now, when it comes to food, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. A dairy animal's diet is really split into 2 parts. You have the maintenance ration, which is the basic food it needs every day just to be healthy. But during that lactation period, it needs a milk-producing ration. That's extra specialized food to support that incredible energy output. And that diet is made of 2 main types of feed. There's roughage, which is mostly fiber, think grass and hay. Then you have concentrates, which are like the power-packed part of the meal. They're low in fiber, but loaded with protein and other key nutrients that really fuel the body. So here's the key connection. Why do these concentrates matter so much? Well, producing milk is a biologically demanding process. The extra proteins and nutrients in those concentrates provide the exact building blocks and energy that the animal's body needs to generate a higher volume of milk. It's as simple as that. So we've covered breeding and feeding.
But all that effort can go right down the drain if the animals get sick. That's why proactive disease prevention is absolutely essential for any successful farm.
And one of the biggest threats comes from parasites. The battle against them is fought on two main fronts. You've got external parasites that live on the skin, causing irritation and skin diseases. Then you have the internal parasites, like worms, which can affect vital organs like the stomach and liver from the inside. And beyond parasites, cattle are also vulnerable to infectious diseases caused by bacteria and viruses. These things can spread quickly through a herd and have absolutely devastating effects on both the animal's health and their milk production.
So the most crucial tool here is prevention. Just like with us, vaccination is the #1 line of defense. By giving vaccines, farmers can protect their herds against many of the most dangerous viral and bacterial diseases before they even get a chance to take hold.
Okay, let's bring all these pieces together. The breeding, the feeding, the housing, and the healthcare. What's the ultimate result of all this careful scientific management? What's the big picture? It all comes down to this. Better science leads to better results. By applying these principles, we get healthier animals that produce more milk. This directly improves food security for a growing population, and, just as importantly, it provides a sustainable livelihood and a better income for the farmers who do this vital work day in and day out.